This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hello, Mr. Anderson. You are about to enter a reality that is not your own. In this alternate reality, things are not necessarily as you see them. For in this reality, we are going to remake The Matrix right.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hello, my fellow cinematic architects, and welcome to Remake This Movie Right. We are a member of the Hollywood Outsider Network. Listen to episodes of Remake This Movie Right on Apple Podcasts. That's right, we're not allowed to call it iTunes anymore. Why? I don't know. Somebody said so. Reviews are definitely appreciated. If you do like the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice, whatever it is that you use. Or you can just visit the website at remakethismovieright.com. Remake This Movie Right is a show that takes an original film that has an actual remake or reboot in the works, figure out what still clicks and what doesn't, throw a little bit of humor at it, and then we determine exactly how Hollywood should remake it. So by the end of each episode, this episode, we will have the remake ready to roll for Hollywood execs and presented to you in movie trailer form. We are here to tell Hollywood how to remake this movie right. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and joining me today on this journey through ones and zeros, you know him from recent episodes, Flight of the Navigator, Stand By Me, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. The host of The Blacklist Exposed, Troy Heinrichs.
What is up? So good to be back.
Is it? Do you feel like you're in the Matrix right now? Does this feel real?
The left side of me says yes, the right side of me says no.
You remember him from our Batman, Green Lantern, and infamous Blade episode that Wesley Snipes even liked. Zach Parkerson?
I'm back.
You are back. Was this a comic book ever?
Yeah, I own all of the Matrix comics.
Seriously?
Don't forget the cartoon also. There was a cartoon.
Yeah, the Animatrix, of course. It all came in the Ultimate Matrix collection on Blu-ray.
Sorry, I probably feel like I'm getting like chased by agents right now for calling it a cartoon. I'm sure it's like some graphic, artistic, anime, television, episodic awesomeness or something like that. But
that sounds, yeah. I think that's on the back of the box.
Most of us call it cartoons.
Is it really? It was a comic book series too? Because the reason we make that joke is because Zach seems to only come on for comic book episodes. Even when we've done episodes that weren't revolving around a comic book movie, it still somehow had a comic book.
It had the Matrix Archives of volumes 1 and 2.
That's pretty cool. Well, good to know.
Where does it take place in the timeline?
Oh, all various. It's like the Animatrix. They're just kind of all over the place. There's one where like Morpheus is like you get to learn how Morpheus got out of the Matrix. There's one where I think you just watch an agent run around from his viewpoint.
It's a little bit of backstory.
Yeah, fleshing out that universe, man. Could have been the Star Wars of a generation, this film series.
Yeah, it could have. It wasn't. All right, well, for this episode, we are remaking The Matrix. That's right, the movie that starred Keanu Reeves, Laurence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, and a host of other people. Revolved around Thomas A. Anderson, who's an average computer programmer who secretly lives as an underground hacker known as Neo. Cool-ass name. Neo has always questioned his reality, but when he finds himself targeted by the cops, he is contacted by Morpheus, a legendary computer hacker branded a terrorist by the government. Morpheus awakens Neo to the real world, a ravaged wasteland where most of humanity has been captured by a race of machines that live off of the humans' body heat and electrochemical energy, and then imprison their minds within an artificial reality known as the Matrix. They also feed those people other people. That's pretty gross. As a rebel against the machines, Neo must return to the Matrix and confront the agents, superpower computer programs devoted to snuffing out Neo and the entire human rebellion, and leading the charge is Agent Smith. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow, that was a really good read.
Thank you. I stole most of it. So, initial thoughts and memories on the film. Zach, you are an avid fan. I would say we had to have somebody on here who is an encyclopedia of knowledge on the Matrix, or it wouldn't be fair. And you fit the bill. So tell us about your first experience and why you love the series so much.
Oh man, it's like asking me who I am, you know?
Okay,
who are you? Deep question. I remember, watching The Matrix when I was young, and it just hitting with me. Something about the universe. The slow mo was cool. The leather jackets are awesome. And then as you get older, and you learn more like about the philosophical undertones and the expansiveness of this universe and how smart the Wachowskis are, and it just buried itself into my cranium for my entire life.
I don't want to correct your grammar. I just want to make sure you understand how good the Wachowskis were.
Ooh.
Were is the proper word.
Oh.
Ooh.
Jupiter Sending could have been better.
Slightly.
I hear a lot of people love Sense8. A lot of people love Sense8.
I love Sense8. Cloud Atlas. I like Speed Racer. The Wachowskis are pretty good.
Now, let me ask you. You spoke to the philosophical nature of it. What is the philosophy there, or would you rather say that until we get into what you love and don't love?
I like that it posits questions that other action movies don't. Like it stops to have characters chat every now and again about things that are bigger than shooting bullets in slow motion.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And Troy, tell me what you think. What was your first impression of this movie?
Well, I am officially at the end of my college career, about to join the workforce, and I'm like, I do not want to be Neo at this corporate America crap and stuff. I just want to be a guy at my computer having fun, doing whatever. And when this came out, it was like, oh, this is like my calling card. I have to become Neo in some way. I got to fight for truth, justice, and the human rebellion way against corporate America, because I feel like that's what we are. We're plugged in every single day to our jobs, and we don't actually get to live life anymore. So this was like, someone trying to start in the workforce, make a way for himself. This was amazing cinema, especially with the things they introduced into the cinnamon.
Now I'm hungry for some cinnamon rolls.
Cinema, all of the visual effects, special effects, dancing, motion. I mean, when Trinity jumps off the building in the opening, it's like, holy crap, what are we watching? It was like amazing.
So it also spoke to you.
Well, it did, and then they made the second and third one.
Which continue to speak to you and who you are.
No, they don't.
Because they're every bit as good as the original.
Only because Harry Lennox was a kick-ass general. That's the only reason why.
This is my legitimate response. A lot of people don't remember this because bullet time was not a thing at this time. That was not being done. Slow motion action was not being done every single movie. So everything in this felt new and fresh. And it actually started most of those trends that have become annoying now. And Zack Snyder hasn't heard that it's no longer a trend. It's a fantastically shot film. It's layered in exposition, which that's probably a downside for most movies. And honestly, I find it a hindrance in the sequels. But in this movie, I love that there was exposition that explained where they were going. And at the time, I remember such a huge plot, such a huge, complicated enigma of a plot that you did have to have some stuff to explain. And they did it in a way that never bored me. And it wasn't just, I can't wait for the next action scene like it is for a lot of movies that way. This one was very much a great story, great action, great performances, great special effects, like phenomenal special effects. Just everything about it clicked. And it was a new world and a universe building thing. It just everything about it was perfect. And the performances, again, were stellar. Keanu Reeves never gets the credit he deserves. But this movie just made me remember, I love Keanu Reeves. He does, yes, his wheelhouse isn't as deep as some thespians, but what he does really well. And he does it great in these movies. And this one in particular.
I remember specifically the Nintendo 64 came out and they had a game called Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yes.
And there was a scene where you actually break into the Weasel's bank, and it's literally the exact same scene of them trying to break into the corporation, the whole like doing the flip over the things, and you're getting shot at the columns and reloading as quick as you can. And the fact that you could actually reenact that sequence in a video game, it was just like, oh my God, it's just like, it was like crack if you were to take drugs.
Did it better than the actual Matrix video games that would do it later.
It absolutely was. It was much, much better than the video games of the actual property.
Wow.
But the fact that you could actually live it, it was just surreal in that moment. You're like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And you're a freaking, you were a squirrel, right? You were a squirrel?
You were a squirrel who could hit a button to do slow motion flips in the air.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the power of the Matrix.
Where did this podcast just go? We're somehow ended up in a squirrel.
It's all about the Matrix. That's how big the Matrix influence was after its release, though.
It was all connected. I remember when we were at work, we would put like the green drawing number down sequence that they were looking at, because you could quote unquote read the Matrix supposedly. I still never understood that concept. But we all put the screensavers on our computers.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, that would be really cool.
That's a great screensaver.
Oh my God, are we in it? Yes, we are, Bob. We are in it.
The whole department, we all had the screensaver. People walk by our cubicle row and they'd be like, "What is going on in there?"
You know what I loved about most after seeing this movie? Okay, yes, there's a lot of exposition and there's a lot of stuff to explain it. It is a somewhat cumbersome and complicated plot. But if you break it down, it's really not hard to understand. Yet everybody I know seemed profoundly confused by it.
Because they made the second and third one.
No, I'm talking after the first movie. Like, I had friends that loved the first movie, but they loved the action parts. Like, the action was fantastic. Special effects were great. They didn't understand what the hell was going on. I'm like, I don't understand what's so complicated. Like, that is actually pretty easy to understand, I think. It's basically you manipulate the data.
That's the issue. The ending is complicated because if he rewrites the program, if he goes into Smith and destroys Smith and rewrites the Matrix and gets into the core code, shouldn't everybody just be free? I think that was the big question everybody had. Like, why is the Matrix still in existence if he just rewrote and beat the computer? So that was probably why people were confused, because I think they were expecting the humans to all like just wake up in that moment when it happened.
The friends I was talking to, they were confused by what? So is he in the real world? Is he not in the real world? I don't understand. I think it's a lot of what people take for granted now is I think we're a lot, I don't want to say smarter, but we're a lot more knowledgeable of computerish things than I think we were at the time. So people didn't really have a good understanding or grasp of coding and programming and that sort of thing, where I think they have a better understanding now because a lot of people get more involved in it. And I think with social media and technology and different sites catching wind like BuzzFeed and Engadget and stuff like that, people have learned more about stuff, so they get it a little bit more than they used to, I think.
Well, it's probably a true statement because it was 1999 when this came out, and everybody that thought they understood the internet really didn't, since the .com then burst after Neo rewrote the code. But
this began freeing minds.
All right. Well,
I blame you, Keanu Reeves. No.
Well, whatever. It got me John Wick, so I'm good with that. Whatever he had to do to get there is good for me. If you have your own pitch or thoughts on this week's show, email us at remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. That's remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. I promise we're going to have teaser episodes a little more frequently. But before we get into the actual Matrix trivia, what we loved, and then the remake, here's a little clip from the original Matrix.
It seems that you've been living two lives. In one life, you're Thomas A. Anderson, program writer for a respectable software company. You have a social security number, you pay your taxes, and you help your landlady carry out her garbage. The other life is lived in computers, where you go by the hacker alias Neo and are guilty of virtually every computer crime we have a law for. One of these lives has a future, and one of them does not.
Okay, you guys ready for some trivia?
Yes. Bring it on.
All right, get excited.
Let's see if this trivia knows more than me.
Okay, let's see if we can stump any of you, either of you. The Wachowskis apparently approached Warner with the idea of The Matrix, and Warner balked at the budget they had submitted, which was over $80 million. Warner instead agreed to give them $10 million. The Wachowskis took the money and filmed the first 10 minutes of the movie, the opening scene with Carrie-Anne Moss, using the entire $10 million. That seems extravagant. Then they showed the executive at Warner the opening scene, which took 6 months of training and 4 days to shoot. They were impressed and greenlit the original asking budget.
Seed money.
Kind of sounds like stealing a little bit, but
yeah. Hey, I do it all the time.
Whatever.
Hey, I gotta do this project at work. I need about $100,000 to proof out the concept, and then I'll spend $1 million. Yeah. Totally works every time.
That does sound like stealing, actually. Yeah.
You got a pretty baller job, man.
He's drug dealer. All right. Wu Ping Yin initially refused to work in the film and hoped that by asking for an exorbitant fee, it would turn off the Wachowskis. It didn't. He next formulated what he considered an impossible request. He said he'd agree only if he had complete control of the fights, and then he trained the actors for 4 months before they'd shoot. The Wachowskis complied, and that's why his work is part of the film, the wire work and the kung fu fighting and all that stuff. Very cool.
And it worked.
Yes, it looks great. It looks fantastic. For the cell phone conversation scene between Neo and Morpheus in the Metacortex office, Keanu Reeves actually climbed up the window without a stuntman, which was 34 floors up.
Whoa.
I get it.
All right. Now, this one you would know if you listen to our Wild Wild West episode. Will Smith was approached to play Neo, but turned down the offer in order to star in Wild Wild West. He later admitted at the time he was not mature enough as an actor, and that if given the role, he would have messed it up. He had no regrets, saying that Keanu was brilliant as Neo. Would you have liked, Zach, you're a huge fan. Would you have liked this movie more or less with Will Smith at that time?
I go back and forth on this. Because I think if Will Smith was attached to the franchise, we might still be getting Matrix movies today. But Keanu Reeves, he is Neo. So there's that.
You think he had a factor in how bogged down some of the sequels got in their own philosophy? I mean, because I don't think Will Smith would have saved that.
Will Smith, no, but he's a big enough name to where when the Matrix Revolutions came around, it made like $300 million less at the box office. I think some of those people still would have showed up if Will Smith was still there.
Okay, that makes sense. In Greek mythology, Morpheus is the god of dreams. The studio insisted on a great deal of explanatory dialogue as they described the screenplay as the script that nobody understands.
Yeah.
3 more quick ones. This one I think is pretty fun. Zach, do you know this? The only film in the trilogy where Neo utilizes firearms is the first one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I never really thought about it. But he just kind of uses his hand. He just stops bullets after this one. So
you don't need to use a gun.
What does he need a gun for? He uses swords in Reloaded.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Like a bunch of them.
Yeah. I'm trying to play it back in my head, and I can't. Yeah, I guess so. I never really noticed that before.
It's pretty cool.
Now it's going to be impossible to unsee now whenever I watch the 2 and 3.
Every time he goes near a gun, he'll be like, pick it up. Oh, he doesn't do it.
What are you doing, man? When you fly, do you need a gun?
No, you don't need a gun. You fly.
Could you fly and then have 6 guns on each side of you, fly with you, and shoot while you're flying without touching them?
That would be cool. That would look cool.
I don't know what the limitations of his code rewriting really are, but probably.
Well, in regards to The Matrix Reloaded, around 97% of the materials from the film sets were later recycled after filming was completed. In one example, tons of wood was sent to Mexico to build low-income housing. Hey, nice.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Whew. Okay, now this one I thought was really cool. It's the last one, but I thought this was kind of cool. The key at the beginning theme you hear at the beginning of each Matrix movie, rousing strings and horn blasts, ascends by 1 semitone with each movie. So the Matrix starts in the key of E, Matrix Reloaded in F, and Matrix Revolutions in the key of F sharp.
Why?
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool.
No, it is cool, but I'm sure that meant something to the Wachowskis when they made that decision. I'm just wondering what it was.
I don't know. I called them and they did not answer. So,
they live in Chicago.
Do they live? Well, why don't you go see them? You live in Chicago.
Yeah, they're right down the street.
Just go knock on the door and see what happens. I'm sure they won't call anyone. All right.
Great.
So what makes this movie so notable, guys? Troy, what about for you? What do you love so much about this movie?
The music, number 1. Laurence Fishburne, number 2. Carrie Ann Moss jumping off a building, number 3. Dancing around bullets, number 4, where you can actually see the air ripple of the bullet. That was fantastic.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, there's nothing in the first movie that I dislike at all. Everything is just spot on point the whole way through. And I think that's very challenging to do, especially when you're talking about a movie of this size of a budget and you have studios who are like, I don't like it. I might not want to do it. And there could be a lot of things that go wrong with a type of film like this. I think every single thing in this was just perfect.
All right. What about you, Zach? What do you love about it?
Wow.
Which is why I can't stand 2 and 3. But
we'll get there.
Which are just as good. Yeah, no, wow. Yeah, the first movie is perfect. Absolutely. From the arc of Neo, from like the nothingness to learning about his destiny, to scoffing at the destiny when Oracle tells him about it, to accepting who he is all great. The fight scenes are incredible. Morpheus is great. Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith is just one of the best villains ever. Mm-hmm. The movie is an unstoppable quote machine. It's just it's a good movie. That's a very good movie.
Well, perfect sounds pretty phenomenal, I would say. You both said perfect.
That's a perfect movie.
Same here. I'm glad one of you said soundtrack. I don't remember which one it was, but the soundtrack is phenomenal. And it makes you want to get in a bullet time gunfight, like big time. Like, I wish I could stop bullets and make all the little ripples happen, because I would love to be in a bullet time fight right now, but whatever. And Carrie-Anne Moss, I do want to say, everybody in this movie is great. I already talked about Keanu Reeves. Laurence Fishburne was great. Hugo was great. But Carrie-Anne Moss, I always thought would be a bigger star after this, and of course, just never worked out. She's still doing quality work, and now she's on the Marvel Defenders series. But yeah, right, yay. But she was so good in this movie, and actually in the sequels too. I was really just disappointed that her career never shot to the stars after this. She was so good.
Yeah, and she really fought the hardest to be in that movie too. Mm-hmm. A piece of trivia you may not know is she filmed the entirety of The Matrix on a twisted ankle because she ruined it when they were filming that first scene, and they just never told anybody because she was worried they would recast her.
Ooh, that's bold, man. She didn't tell anybody?
That's right. Till after they wrapped.
She is tough. She is tough.
She really wanted to be in that movie.
I guess, because Keanu, he'd be like, "Whoa, my ankle, whoa."
He would be like, "Man, you better go with Smith on this, guys. I gotta call this one out."
I'll do Speed 3. It's cool.
This time we'll keep a tractor going 60.
And I do want to give a shout out to Joey Pants, Joey Pantoliano, just Joey Pants.
I can't pronounce his last name.
I can't either, but he's the one he's the rogue. He's the rogue one of Morpheus's crew.
Cypher.
Yes, Cypher. He was. I really didn't. I kind of felt like you're going to have somebody be that character, but when he actually turns, I get his point of view. Like, I mean, I understood. We've done this for years. I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm tired. I want to live a life where I taste steak and I live a life I enjoy, and I got it. I totally got it.
Why, oh, why didn't I take the blue pill?
Mm-hmm. All right. So what? Well, we already said nothing really doesn't work. It's a perfect movie. I think we all concur. But what doesn't work? And we can talk about the sequels if you feel they fall into this area. I think that's where we might have a little debate. So let's talk about this movie first. Anybody have a problem with anything in the first movie? Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, at the time when you watch it, there is that problem at the end where you sit there and you go, I don't get why the Matrix is still in existence.
No, I didn't have that problem.
Well, wouldn't it? If they talk about how the mind's not free at a certain age, so you would just kill crops of humans anyway, right? If you shut down the Matrix, and you also couldn't go to the Machine City and recover all of the humans at the same time because the Sentinels are still there and the machines have defenses, as you see in Revolutions.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know anything about the machines and the Revolution and the Machine City and Zion, and you don't know any of that in the first movie. All you're fighting in the first movie is Smith. Smith is now defeated. Then why does the Matrix still need to exist? That isn't
because
explained
Smith
in the
isn't
first
the
movie.
entire Matrix. That's just the foe that he was fighting at that time.
Just because he
I never
rewrote a hallway doesn't mean he can rewrite the entirety of the code of the Matrix. Like,
that's what it was. That was the whole premise. He got inside the code and he rewrote the code.
That's not.
I'm saying
the way I understood it, the way I took the ending was he became the one. He learned how to manipulate the code. He himself can manipulate the code, not everybody else. So now, as the movie ends, the problem's still there. They still have the machines are still in charge, but he has the power now to go take the war to them. That's what the ending was to me.
I see, and I thought it was I get to rewrite the code, so everybody should be saved. So when he flies off, it's like, oh, he's still in the Matrix. Well, that's weird.
They're all still plugged in, so he'd have to go through and save them all. Still,
I was excited for more story. Absolutely. I wanted more stuff to happen. I just didn't know it was going to go where it was going to go.
Well, tell us what you don't like about the sequels, okay? And this is a common thing. And Zach loves the sequels. He thinks it's a brilliant trilogy. You don't like the sequels. Tell us what you don't like them, and then Zach, tell us why you think he's wrong or crazy.
Rock raging scene when they get to Zion and it's all like sexy time and bumping and grinding against each other, and then they make out, and I'm just like, this isn't what we saw in the first movie. This is thrown in here just to appease a certain crowd. That was something that kind of turned me off. They spent way too much time in Zion showing things around, like get out there and be in the tunnels and get dark and dirty and, get out. It seemed like they were too confined in one space in the second movie. And then there was just the whole, like, he goes from the architect at the end into this like space where he can't find his way back. I mean, if he's the one, why is he in this purgatory train tunnel thing? And that just didn't work for me at all. And then, of course, when it's all said and done, I never understood how Smith amassed the amount of power that he was able to amass. Like that explanation just didn't seem to be, what do you call it? It just wasn't explained enough on how he was able to amass such a power that at the end of the day, the humans and machines had to be working together in order to stop Smith, when the original premise was humans need to rise up against the machines. So it kind of twisted from its original premise, is why I don't think the second and third movies work as well. The second and third movies seem like they were their own franchise. Like, here's The Matrix, great movie, standalone. We can tell a lot more stories off of this. And then there was stuff that happened between movie 1 and movie 2 that we don't know about. And then movie 2 and movie 3 seem to be like its own story by itself, standalone. Okay. That's why it didn't work for me.
So you don't have a problem with Neo's fate or Trinity's fate, and spoilers are totally free, so you say whatever you want. You don't have a problem with those characters dying, and it's not that. It's just how it was handled for you.
Yeah, I don't think it was stitched together in a way that it really paid homage back to the first movie and how great the first movie was. It was like, okay, we made a crap ton of money, and because we made a crap ton of money, we can make another crap ton of money. And because we're just worried about making a crap ton of money, we made a crap ton of a movie.
Oh, so a lot of crap tons. All right.
It was like crap being tonned up.
All right.
Well, I can't say the other word because it's a clean podcast. But
so
I mean, it's not that the second and third movies were bad stories. I mean, the stories were okay. The concepts were okay. It's just when you go back to the first movie, the second and third movies felt like, half of a movie compared to the first movie.
Okay. Now, Zach, these are really important movies to you. You love the second and third one. Why do those work so well for you? Why is this a great trilogy to you?
Well, sorry. 2 and 3 are a bit of a different beast. Troy's right. The Zion stuff, I liked all the Zion stuff. I like the expansion of the universe, seeing more of the world. They're confined because they only have one city left. You didn't see a lot of the adventures with the other people, but that's fine. You are right. The Smith stuff gets a bit wonky because they kind of just write out like Neo exploded him, and then he chose to not. He knew what he was supposed to do. He knew he was supposed to be gone, but he chose not to be. That's a bit loose. You just kind of have to go with timey-wimey, wonky the one stuff. But I like the Merovingian stuff, the Keymaker, all the expansion of the Matrix itself, the Architect stuff, the cycles of the one, and now they're like on the sixth one, I think. And it was all just fascinating concepts to me. The only thing that does bug me is Neo can shut down the Sentinels outside of the Matrix. That never makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I like those movies. There are flaws, but I like the themes it explores. I like the long monologues with polysyllabic words thrown around and themes discussed that other movies wouldn't. It's also interesting to me. It continues to be interesting. And every time I rewatch the movies, I feel like I see like this different little angle on everything happening outside of the cool action scenes. I feel like I kind of rambled a little bit there.
No, there's no rambling there. I'm kind of in a mixed bag because I like the second movie and I don't like the third movie. Most of that is due to I feel like in the third movie the first movie felt like a movie that lived within the rules of its own making. Right? They set up this world. They had a list of rules and they followed them to the letter. This happened. If you don't do it this way, you're not going to live. If you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. Only one person can manipulate the code, and that person now is Neo. All of that stuff was within the structure that they created. And then I feel like to a degree, because they wanted to create this franchise when the first one was so successful, they expanded the rules in the second one to a degree, like bringing Smith back, like you guys both talked about. And then in the third movie, I felt like they just completely started making stuff up at some point, which is funny. It's a movie. It's fiction. Everything's made up. But I felt like the rules no longer apply. We're just going to change the rules a little bit. Smith amasses all this power. Neo is now Neo outside of the Matrix. Stuff that just didn't make any sense. And it just completely lost me. So I get where both of you are coming from, because I do think this is an action franchise that is willing to have philosophical conversations and debates. And there's a lot of Buddhism and Hinduism. I mean, just that feels very prevalent throughout the series, and you don't get that a lot in these kind of movies. So I do think it is a smarter action movie. It just, man, I just feel like they lost sight of their own vision at some point. Does that make sense?
I mean, I could see where other people do not like these movies. Those people are foolish, but I can see where they could be coming from.
Yeah, because I don't hate the other two movies. I just in reference to the first movie, it doesn't work in the bundle as a trilogy. I think it's one movie, and then there was two movies in the same universe as the first movie.
No, I hate the third movie. Hate it.
How about that fight? The fight scene at the end in the rain, they're exploding raindrops.
It was a little long in the tooth.
It was, I mean, it's fine. I do like the fate of the characters because I do think that was a bold choice. In this franchise, I think that's a pretty bold choice. You killed two main characters. That's pretty bold.
Yeah. Morpheus is the only surviving crew member of the Nebuchadnezzar as we knew them.
And I thought for sure he was dead. I mean, come on. Like, of all the characters, like, I figured he'd be the first one to die. And he's...
Well, he was the easy one to kill off.
Right. I mean, the old wise one. And, you know, I just figured he'd be the one to go and not the lead. Well, they're going to, you know, in every other movie, they would run off into the sunset. They would be a couple. They would have a baby, and the baby would be baby Neo for the, you know, eventual franchise movie.
Yeah, I feel like most other franchises, it would have ended with, you know, like humanity getting out of the Matrix or something like that. And there wasn't a clean break resolution. You know, they have a ceasefire with the machines. They're still harvesting humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Do you see the justification, I guess? Because, I mean, this movie had one of the biggest drop-offs from sequel to sequel of any movie. Like you said, $300 million behind. But Matrix Reloaded, just in the U.S., made, I think it was $292 million, I'm speaking roughly. And then the sequel made $139 million. I mean, that's a huge drop-off. And then, like you said, $300 million worldwide. What do you attribute to that?
They released two movies of the same franchise in the same year.
Yeah,
I don't think there was enough, anticipation buildup. It wasn't like, gosh, I really wish that third movie would come.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same fate of like Back to the Future 2 and 3. You probably might see the same, linear logarithmic statistic, because they released 2 and 3 so close together, but there was such a pent-up demand waiting for that second movie to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of the same thing. Like, we all wanted oh my gosh, there's a second Matrix, great. And then the second Matrix was like, and then there's the architect, and it's like exposition, and I don't get it, and I don't need a third movie. But the third movie came so fast that people were still like, I really don't want a third movie. If they would have delayed it maybe a year and a half, 2 years, then maybe they would have been like, oh, I remember that Matrix thing. Let's check that out again.
Yeah, because if you like, apparently 80% of people were disappointed with the Matrix Reloaded, then there wasn't enough time for you to either warm up to the idea of a sequel being better, or for you to feel like a movie, like a third movie, could have course corrected. It didn't need to course correct, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would think the mass audience is just like, oh my God, another one of these stupid Matrix things. Oh my God.
Just too bad, because it was kind of a juggernaut. It was a phenomenon for a good period of time.
It could have been a new Star Wars for a new generation. That universe is so compelling to me.
Do you wish they would have done it a little different? Like, in hindsight, even though you love these movies, do you wish they would have done it a little different?
I wish they would have. I wish the Revolutions could have been the same movie for all I care, but just pump it out 2-3 years after Reloaded. Give some breathing room. You know, it's not. Yeah, even a year. Like, the Lord of the Rings came rapid fire year after year.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, that's enough of a cycle. It was like, 6 months between 2 and 3?
Yeah.
It's released.
That's it.
Yeah.
See, it's almost like they should have the Matrix, right? This is the world. This is the concept. I'm super excited for more stories. And then they should have had Matrix, the trilogy. And it's actually like the next cycle, right? Neo was the one. He figured out how to break the cycle, but yet something happened. And then you could have him search for Neo or something, right? There's another one that rises, and it's almost like if you had two Slayers at the same time, potentially, kind of concept.
Troy, let me tell you about the story of the Matrix Online. It takes place after Revolutions, and it gets into a little bit of that.
That became like a big deal, didn't it? Wasn't that game huge?
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Yeah, for like a year there, and it started to wane off. But It had some interesting stuff. Morpheus died in it. Spoilers.
Oh, come on.
Or did he? We never found out because they canceled the game.
Oof. I guess we'll never know.
They shut it.
We'll never
They
know.
shut it down.
We'll never know. All right. So should this movie even be remade or rebooted, or should it be placed in don't touch status? Troy.
Well, if you're basing it off the first movie alone, I would put it in don't touch status. If you're putting it in the ability to reboot a franchise, then yeah, absolutely, there could be a potential for something there.
Yeah. Don't ever retell this story, but tell more Matrix stories. So don't touch any of these 3 movies.
I side with you. I think reboot the franchise, relaunch it, do something like that, but I would never I'd officially remake this movie. I think it's too well done. It's kind of like a Jaws, you know?
Yep.
And
All
it's still relevant, I feel like, to people. Like, people still reference the Matrix often.
I was deciding today whether to take a red pill or blue pill for my allergies. So,
like it
and to
comes
this day, I still will not take a blue pill. Never.
Yeah, that's right, man.
I take Dayquil instead of Nyquil for that same reason.
You don't want to wake up and believe whatever you want to believe.
You guys need so much therapy. All right, let's have one more clip from the original The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Okay, and now we're on to the remake. Here's what we know about the intended remake/reboot currently in the works. In March 2017, Warner Brothers was in early stages of developing a relaunch of the franchise with Zach Penn in talks to write a treatment and interest in getting Michael B. Jordan attached to star. I would guess that probably has to do, like they're going to do a Morpheus origin story or something, but that's just the theory.
Is that because he's black?
I mean, I'm not saying that, but if you want to point fingers, sure. According to The Hollywood Reporter, neither the Wachowskis nor Joel Silver were involved with the endeavor. I think that's wrong. Wrong in terms of that's not right, Warner Brothers. Although the studio would like to get at minimum the blessing of the Wachowskis, Zach Penn responded to the report that the words reboot and remake were inaccurate, and instead he is interested in seeing stories set in the already established universe. The previous month, Keanu Reeves said he would return to a potential new Matrix film only if the Wachowskis were writing and directing. Before we get into our remake, let me ask you, Zach, I mean, as the diehard, as the one who loves this world so much, how would you feel taking away our vision of the Wachowskis not being involved in a further Matrix movie in any way?
Don't bother. It's so clearly and uniquely their vision that you need them at least like as a producer or something, some kind of overseeing role. I will still see whatever it is, I'm sure, but I think you need the Wachowskis.
I think Zach has a point. At the same time, I think it also depends on type of story you're telling. Like there's a fighting, a revolution, a uprising kind of theme that the Wachowskis were going with when they made the 3 films. Now, again, we're not saying that it's going to be a Morpheus origin story because Michael B. Jordan is the one that's being tagged for casting. But if it is a Morpheus origin story, that story might be different. And you might need different people to helm that in order to tell that type of story. So I think it's all going to depend on what's the angle that they're looking at. So from that perspective, yeah, anybody could touch this, but I still think that the Wachowskis would have to have some kind of executive producer, say over the environment and the stylisticness of it to make it truly the Matrix.
You know what I don't need 20 years after the fact is a Morpheus origin story.
I would agree. And it's probably wrong of me to even make that assumption. That's just the first thing.
Well, you're not the only one doing it. That's what every article was saying. It's like, this could potentially be a Morpheus origin story. Like, the only thing you're basing that on is that Michael B. Jordan is in talks to star. Internet.
Well, to be fair, I just did the same thing. So I'm kind of ashamed of myself. I feel a little bit like a racist, and I didn't mean to. But
he's the next biggest character. I mean, unless you're going to do a Trinity origin.
Well, that's
story.
kind of that's what I based it on. I mean, he's an African American, and that's the only African American really. And well, I guess you've got the one guy that got killed, and I can't remember his name.
Locke.
Yeah.
Wait.
Locke.
Oh, you're talking about
in the first
Locke
movie.
was Harry Lennox's character.
No, not Locke. In the first movie, he was on the ship, and he got killed when Joey Pants killed him with the
Tank
gun.
and Dozer.
Dozer. He's Dozer.
Dozer. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Tank dies too, doesn't he? In between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Off screen.
He off screen because he wanted more money or something.
Did he?
Yeah, it was something like it was some kind of dispute. I don't remember the exact
Who does
details.
he think he is?
Unemployed. That's who he thinks he is.
Yeah. Where have you seen that guy anywhere else?
No, it was some kind of dispute. I remember that quite clearly. I don't have the details in front of me because I didn't prepare them for this podcast. I'm totally speaking
fine.
out of turn.
They replaced him with Harold Perrineau or whatever from Lost, so
Lost.
They did okay.
Should have yelled Walt at some point. All right, so since this movie is getting a remake and as fans, we always think we know the best way to do everything. How should Hollywood remake it? All selections are settled by a best of 3 vote if you've never listened before. We're trying to put one movie together. We each get to make our pitch, and then we decide what direction we want to go. Sometimes we'll merge the 3 in together. Sometimes we'll just stick with one pitch. It really just depends. Each host does receive 1 cut per episode to be used when they are extremely passionate about their idea. Yell cut, and we change, and we have to go with whatever they're wanting to do. Everybody understand these rules?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sir, sir.
Okay. Who wants to go first? Who has the first pitch? Zach? Troy? Who wants to go first?
I have one, but I was going to default to Zach since it's his genre and love of, basically his child
there
at
you
this
go.
point. But if you're not ready, I will go.
I mean, I am ready.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous.
Let it rip, man. It's your world that you love the most. Let's see where you want to take it.
Okay. All right. So I was I've always mulled about wanting to see the idea of a program in the Matrix, their perspective of gaining sentience and trying to escape the Matrix. They would eventually find out that they can't because they're a program, but they would still want to get out of the routine and the pain. Kind of like Smith a little bit but Smith wants to get destroyed. He doesn't care. He just wanted to be gone. But I would like to see a program. It doesn't necessarily have to be an agent program, but that's probably a good touch point for people watching it. Trying to get out of the Matrix during the ceasefire, causing some ruckus. I like the idea of Morpheus kind of losing it a little bit after Neo dies, and the fact that they have to have the ceasefire with the machines. So I kind of wanted him to help this program kind of start a bit of a revolution in his attempt to escape, a bit of a revolution within the programs of the Matrix inside of the Matrix, if that makes sense.
So you would still have Morpheus. You'd have Laurence Fishburne come back. Or
yeah, he'd have to give him a few months to get back into it.
And so what would be the ultimate goal then, do you think?
Yeah, I guess I thought of the premise more than the finale, which I tend to do on this show too often. But we always get there as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it would end with, I guess the movie I'm thinking of would end with them breaking down the ceasefire and the war would start up again. So it's kind of a movie establishing a new tone.
So Morpheus would be really the cause for
more. Yeah, he would through this program character. We'll just assume this agent, and he would kind of become a bit of the terrorist he's always been built up to be within within Mega City.
That's interesting. Okay.
It's an idea.
No, I like it. It's a cool idea. All right, Troy, what's your idea?
Okay, so I said, don't touch status. So the Matrix is not getting remade. It's getting reformed in my pitch here. So, are you ready?
Wild Wild West.
In the not too distant future, where most medical incidents have been eradicated from the planet, we are all mindless zombies. We get up, we go to work, we go home. We get up, we go to work, we go home. Keeps repeating in this pattern over and over and over and over again, because the incessant need of the corporations to have the highest possible productivity capable, because it's all about the money. They require us to jack in at the office to get the full use of our brains. And while we're jacked in, they actually feed us programs so that we are not able to break free from this cycle. But then on one day, Trinity, a new millennial, joins the workforce. It all changes. because she has a defect, say an anomaly in her brain that allows her to understand that she's not getting coaxed to repeat this over and over and over again. She hates her job and decides to call in sick one day. And when that happens, a bunch of agents from the corporation come to her house or apartment or whatever it is, and they say, well, what's going on? And in order to get her to get back to her productivity, they offer her a different job. So she goes back to the corporation and realizes that, you know what? This sucks too. So she unjacks herself in the office. And the minute that happens, it sends out a signal that the other disconnecteds are out watching what's going on, end up saving Trinity, and then the fight against the corporations begin to retake and reclaim our humanity.
Okay.
So does this? So your movie takes place entirely within the Matrix?
It takes place in the real world. The Matrix is just the company or corporation name or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't even have to be the Matrix itself.
You're right.
It could be. It could be the Smith Corporation.
I'm sorry. I was still thinking human crop fields. That's not where you were at. No, yeah, got it.
All right.
Just the concept of the jacking in and the anomaly and the
right.
Yeah.
So they're in the real world.
Even
they're in the real world.
It's kind of like a maybe I don't want to say like the Divergent series in a way, but it's kind of like where they're all programmed and soldiers and doing whatever, and there's no free thought. So how do we reclaim free thought kind of concept?
Got it.
All right. Well, mine is a little lengthy, so bear with me. You guys ready?
Pitch it.
Woosa. All right. After years of peace, the truce between man and machine hits a snag. See, what's going to happen is in the opening minutes, we're gonna see a human enter the Matrix and upload a virus. This character is Perseus, who in Greek mythology rescued Andromeda from the sea monster and ultimately defeated Medusa. Perseus kind of fancies himself in the same vein as the Greek icon. So while the peace had been amicable, many humans were actually enjoying life, but a lot of them never really thought themselves to be truly free and therefore sought to find a way to completely destroy the machines, including Perseus himself. So this virus does infect the machines, right? It modifies the existing code and is quickly eroding the machines. But because the machines were provoked first, a new threat comes forth in the Matrix known only as Thanatos. His mission is to destroy one human each hour until this code is restored. Basically, he uses his power to threaten because there are still a lot of humans plugged in because not everybody wanted to be free. So Perseus learns that not only is his code not completely destroying the Matrix, who is now killing innocent people, he also learns what no one else had pieced together. Humans had destroyed so many aspects of Earth, the atmosphere, water, soil, that it had become near impossible to survive without the machine's existence because they need the machines to purify, to cleanse certain materials so that they can live. Therefore, he seeks out this woman named Crisis. Yeah, I just liked it. It's kind of a cool name. She's
Sounds like a hacker name.
Yeah, a little bit. She's a woman with a deep understanding of the Matrix and its code, and together they must team up and battle through hordes of Thanatos' minions to identify a way to rectify the code and return it to a state of normalcy. As we get near the end, Thanatos' code erodes further and begins killing a human a minute. So it speeds up to a human a minute. So by the end, when Perseus and Crisis prevail, hundreds of thousands of humans were actually slaughtered in retaliation. It is only then that Crisis learns that this was all Perseus' fault. And the last shot of my movie would be her emerging from the Matrix right after saving the machines and restoring the truth, so to speak. And just as Perseus is attempting his exit, she pulls his mind plug and we fade to black. We never see if he escapes or if she killed him.
It's a good ending.
Yeah, that's my movie.
Kind of dig that too. The only thing that makes that better is Crisis is Neo and Trinity's daughter.
How'd she get there?
They had sex in movie 2 or whatever it was.
But she also got stabbed.
See, I don't really have... the only thing that I did have was I had an idea that Thanatos at some point would attempt a physical form that resembled Trinity. Like maybe just her look or her outfit or something along those lines.
Does that thing get Carrie Ann Moss in there?
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. But I really don't... I don't want to touch the characters of Trinity or Neo. I just don't. I feel like you can't do it without the original actors, and by doing that, you're bringing with both the glory of the first movie, but also the stigma of the sequels. I want it to create something new is what I would want. So Zach, let's start with you. What direction are you? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Troy.
Well, I was going to say it would be kind of fun to have Crisis be the offspring of Trinity and Neo, especially if she does resolve the thing. And
they
get
both
the machine.
died. So
yeah.
How would there be an offspring? They didn't have a baby.
Did they both die?
Yeah.
At the end of the third movie?
Yeah. She got stabbed and then he got Jesused.
He got Jesus.
They put
Yeah,
the little.
she did die. She did
they put
die.
the-
Damn it.
Yes, she did.
I don't think you
yeah.
can give birth in that state. That would be awkward.
Right. I don't think they could get like their genetic code to do anything because I think the machine still have took Neo's body for something.
What if she was pregnant and the machines harvested the baby?
No, I think we can all agree.
Which you don't find out until the end, and in the end it's like, Crisis, you were bred for this reason, blah 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 blah.
You're stuck on this idea. I don't
Yeah,
think that.
that's.
I'm just trying to make it work.
That's how you make it more
Star
like.
Wars prequel-y to me.
Yeah, that's a little Matrix 3 to me. That's
Hey.
what that is.
Watch your tongue.
So Zach, let's start with you. What direction? I mean, you can pick your own if you want. What direction of these three do you like the most? Like, would you want to see? Okay, I really want to go down that path.
Man, I think it'd be. I'm too humble to pick my own, obviously.
Oh, you
So-
can pick your own. Troy would totally
I don't
pick his own.
I feel like he will. Yeah, I mean the Thanatos thing sounds interesting. Yeah, I've been fixated on the idea of a sentient program trying to escape, learning they can't escape, and deciding to just cause an uprising in the Matrix because F it for a long time in my life. So I feel like I got to default to that one.
Plus the programs were super interesting.
Yeah. There's more to flesh out there.
How about maybe if let's see how we can combine these three. If you guys like those both, Troy, where do you land? I guess I don't even go to you.
Well, I do like your story. I don't necessarily feel that the humans dying an hour or dying a minute poses that big of a threat and seems a little bit too big or too unbelievable as the audience watching that perspective. So there has to be some other threat, but I do like the concept of where you were going.
What if Crisis is the program that he has to seek out help from Christ, like a program inside the Matrix to rectify this problem before Thanatos takes over.
Right. And that's why she knows so much about the code of the Matrix.
And that's why she knows so much about the code. And because of what they said in the previous movies, you could actually make it so that she could take a human form of a body that has not actually been released or something. Maybe in that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Smith did it.
Yeah, Smith did it. So there's a precedent.
Yeah, I think the challenge is that Zach's feels like it's Westworld. Mine is completely different. Bullheinrichs as usual. And then I think Aaron's is the most true to the original concepts of the story. But I do like this idea of a program being the I like the idea of a program overcoming in a way, because the programs, I think, like the architect, exposition aside, and blabber, 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 beyond the exposition. But I like the architect concept, and I like the key maker, the key master program, and the Oracle, and I like all those programs ideas. So the fact of a program, the trick is figuring out the twist, right? There's got to be like a huge twist at the end, and if this Perseus character is the bad guy all along, how do we do it in such a way that nobody knows he's the bad guy till the very last
No,
scene?
no, it's doesn't. I don't see him as the bad guy. I think he was trying to win. He was trying to defeat the machines because the machines were never really fully free. He's not a bad guy. He just got caught up. Like, he made a mistake. He tried to bring them down and didn't realize how much they still need them. And so he's trying to rectify his own problem. Like, he realized he created it, but he's not a bad guy.
But then you're almost in this like self-defeating prophecy
No, I
concept
don't
or
see it that
circle,
way.
and there's just no hope at the end of the movie. There's no like, bam, wow kind of thing, or a holy crap, that just happened, Empire Strikes Back kind of thing.
No, the hope is that you're trying to save humanity and restore the truce, but at the very end, after that happens, then the plug gets pulled and we don't know whether he lives or dies. Now you make a series, he lives. If you don't make a series, doesn't succeed, then the audience can make the decision for themselves. And I don't think we try that enough in films.
But you set up the whole precedent of the movie is saying machines are bad. We want to get rid of the machine.
Nope.
No machines.
No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, you did. You said Perseus is like...
Perseus believes that, but then he finds out that he's wrong. He's always thought that the machines were at fault, but actually they need to coexist. They have to coexist in order for humans to survive. For humanity to even be alive at this point, because we've done so much wrong, they have to learn to coexist. And he doesn't understand that until he's already introduced the virus, and that's why he needs Crisis to help him solve it, in my scenario.
And Crisis has to be a machine, representing the machine character then at that point.
Yeah, by taking from Zach's, yes, that would be the program. Basically, she's inside the Matrix, so he reaches out to her, and she doesn't realize he's the one that introduces the virus until the very end. Like, she just thinks, okay, I'm just helping him in the Matrix, and she finds a human form and that sort of thing. And then, I could see that part working.
I'm like 90% of the way there. I'm just trying to figure out how the flip works. That's where I'm stuck. Because he's doing the bad stuff. He realizes he's doing the bad stuff. He comes to his senses. But in order for him to come to his senses, he needs Crisis to help him come to his senses.
No, he finds Crisis after he realizes what's going on. After he realizes that how
does he realize it? I guess that's where I'm stuck.
Because
how does he realize
after the things start breaking down, he starts seeing where machines falter and how they're keeping the air clean. They are keeping the water clean. They are actually purifying the air and the water to keep us alive. And he had no idea that was part of what they were doing, part of the machines and what they were doing. So
right, so maybe he uploads this virus. Some time passes, and like the leaders of Zion are starting to notice that where they used to get their water is no longer pure. The air's starting to get bad, and then they didn't even realize that the machines were responsible for keeping some of this stuff afloat because they needed humans for something. And then so Perseus gets wind of this by living in Zion and realizes that he is the one who caused all of this, and he kind of goes on like a solo mission to kind of rectify his own mistake.
Yes, yeah, that's perfect. Boom.
He runs into Crisis, who he strikes a deal with. She's a program who knows a lot of the code of the Matrix. Maybe she is like infrastructure of the Matrix or something. She went rogue at some point. He learns about her, cuts a deal with her that he can get her out of the Matrix, even though he has no way of doing that at the time.
That's good.
But why is he in the Matrix if he's in Zion? Straight up.
Because they all can connect. I mean, that's been part of the entirety of the whole thing. They just sit in a chair and plug in.
He's already out in Zion, so if he's in, and then he's like, my reward is that I get to...
No, he goes in to fix his program. He goes in to fix his virus because he's
going to go back to his own virus, but they've set up... The machines have set up new firewalls or something in response to the virus, and he can't get around it, so he goes to Crisis, program he learns about. She says her deal is that she wants to get out of the Matrix because she's tired of living in it as a program, and he says he can get her out or something.
That I could buy. So Crisis wants out of the Matrix, and then Perseus can get Crisis out of the Matrix. They have to work together in order to solve that problem. That makes more sense.
And Thanatos is the villain, the Agent Smith of the movie. So maybe it doesn't do the killing a person a minute, but starts killing humans randomly. Like basically it becomes a bigger and bigger, increasingly larger threat because the virus is starting to spread. And if they don't fix it, they kill him, but that's the only way that they can do it is by fixing it. And so I can have my twist ending by basically he does get her out right after he fixes everything, or maybe he thinks he fixed everything. That's where she gets out and pulls the plug.
Yeah, you get like a side op or something. He finds like a sick woman or like a brain dead woman or something and puts her in there or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good because it would keep casting him in gray shades if you were to like just, I don't know, take a hospitalized brain dead woman, just bring her with him the body so that way she can jack a program into her.
Yeah, got to do something. You made a deal.
Throw it to hell. It's paved with good intentions.
So Perseus gets Crisis out first. So Crisis is now in the real world, and then when she gets out,
and maybe that's when she realizes it. Maybe there's something there that alerts her to in the real world that, oh my God, he's the one that did this. Like he did this.
Well,
whole
maybe
thing.
It's got to be a battle between like Crisis and Perseus are fighting Thanatos.
Right.
And it's like it's that standard villain exposition. Like they talk too much. And it's like, well, you created me. This is what you wanted, And then they defeat him, and then
another angle, so you don't have the villain spell it out, is when they're there fixing his code. She could have seen like the code he wrote to get her out and into the body. He could have like showed her the program earlier. He could realize that the virus was written in like the same programming language as he.
The code signature, yeah.
Yeah, is the same as his. So she puts it together herself.
Oh.
That he is the one who wrote this virus and caused all of this. So then when she gets out, she's ready to pull the plug on him.
That's smart. Kind of mad I didn't think of that.
Because they're on a solo mission. It's just the two of them in a ship or whatever.
Right.
A jack-in point or what have you. So when she does get out, no one's around to see her pull the plug on.
It sounds like
Prometheus, whatever the hell we're calling it.
Sounds like he's a bit of a roguish Han Solo type anyway, so I'm sure he has his own small ship.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a movie here. I think we've kind of like weaved out the details.
We've merged.
We've merged. You guys agree? Is there anything else you want to throw in here? I'm sure Troy does. You want more robots?
Aren't they already robots in this one?
Yeah, that's true. You walk into it. Do we all agree on this, or is there any more changes you want to make, or is there everybody on board?
Is there a reason? I mean, you kind of explained the names, but I mean, do they really actually mean anything?
Yeah, they're all part of Greek mythology, actually.
Yeah, Thanatos is the god of death, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, god of death, which is why I thought it'd be a good villain. And then Crisis is actually she was, yeah.
You could have a hot Merovingian cameo of Perseus learning about Crisis since he helps run rogue programs.
Wait, who?
The Merovingian from Reloaded.
Oh my
Revolutions.
God. Wow. No.
Alternatively, you could have Morpheus tell him about Crisis.
Boom. There you go. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm stuck in the idea of a disillusioned Morpheus because they had to strike an accord with the machines as opposed to destroy them outright.
Crisis in the name. Actually, I like the name Crisis because it says Crisis, obviously, but it was the father of Chryseis, who's a woman who was captured by Agamemnon during the Trojan War, and basically the name just means golden. So I liked it because it was alluding to crisis is in panic, but also it means golden. Like this is the salvation. This is the one. This is the most important piece, kind of thing. That's what I took from it. They're all cool. Greek mythology,
just like Morpheus.
Exactly. That's where I got it. All right.
Is the Nebuchadnezzar Greek or is that biblical?
I don't
think
it's
definitely biblical, but biblical also existed in Greek times. So
yeah, this has a lot of Christian overtones.
Yeah. Well, he gets Jesus at the end.
He does get Jesus. All right, I think we got a movie. Do we have a director? Who's got the best director for this? Troy, who's your pick?
Zack Snyder.
What?
Oh, finally he's coming around in the Snyder.
Oh
train.
Boy. Well,
I just wanted to see Aaron's reaction.
God,
he's so good. Zack
he's
Snyder.
got the slow motion down, so we'll be ready for that.
It's actually a Zack Snyder in partnership with Michael Bay production.
There's gonna be so many explosions. Slow
motion,
very
expensive movie.
Yes, this is gonna be $600 million.
We'll have military jumping out of jets at some point for no reason.
Anybody else, or no? You don't really have
the Wachowskis.
Besides, you want the Wachowskis?
Wachowskis.
Who do you want?
What do you want, Zach?
The Wachowskis.
Oh,
they're the only ones I ever want doing this.
The only other person I have was James Ward Burkett. Did a movie called Coherence. It's a very small sci-fi film, but I liked how smart it was, and he could handle making tension and exposition work together. So I liked him, but I don't have a problem with the Wachowskis as long as you reel them in.
As long as you what? Reel them in?
As long as you reel them in. I'm like, I do want somebody in charge of them to make sure that they don't screw it up and get a little carried away with themselves.
Maybe get J. Michael Straczynski, who co-writes Sense8 with them, to help out with the movie.
I got a problem because I don't like Sense8. So
you're out of your mind.
I'm going to go with no on that one.
Just couldn't get into it.
Nope. Couldn't do it.
Wow.
Are you okay with Wachowski, Troy? I mean, it's 2 against 1, so you could cut if you want. but I'm okay with them. I think it's their world, and I do agree with Zach. It is such a specific part of their vision. I don't see why he wouldn't give them a chance to rectify it.
It's already ruined so much other stuff.
Yeah, what they always did really well with. I mean, it is a worry, but even M. Night came back with Split, so I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, you get a couple years of humility, and you'll learn.
Not only did he come back with Split, but he came back with a future movie too.
That's true.
Glass.
So excited.
All right, well, the Wachowskis
The
are
Wachowskis
in,
it is.
but we're gonna.
Yeah, I guess
Lana and Lily Wachowski sitting in the director's chair.
Man,
Unless you cut, that's the only way it doesn't.
Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Ascending.
I like Jupiter Ascending.
Stop throwing the word cut around. You might do it. I was prepared to cut you guys to get the Wachowskis in here.
Okay, all right. Well, how about who do we want
But
for?
can I just do that preemptively? Cut. That's going to be the Wachowskis.
You
There
can
you
if you
go.
want.
I was waiting for him to use it, so he can't use it later. You're done. You're out.
He didn't use it.
Wachowskis are in, and your cut is gone.
Wachowskis are the hill I die on.
Okay, all right. So the characters.
Wachowskis are in.
Perseus and Crisis, who would you cast? Who would be your Perseus? Either one of you.
Okay. You're going to know exactly why I said this person because I'm a fanboy of this person, but I want Stephen Amell. He's who I thought in my program story because that guy needs a chance to break into movies. And he's a good actor and he can do all kinds of stuff. And if this is like this gray character, Amell's got plenty of experience with that.
It's true.
Okay. Troy, you agree with him? Or?
I could go with Stephen Amell. I think he's got enough range.
There you go.
Okay.
He does have range.
All right. I'm on board. Stephen Amell it is. No,
Great.
who for Crisis? That's a harder one.
Yeah. See, now this I didn't see coming before we got to this show here. So it's a bit of a curveball you threw me having this girl all of a sudden.
I mean, I was like thinking ScarJo for my Trinity in my version.
Ooh. I can't co-sign on that one. I can't. I don't like Scarlett Johansson. I know I'm the only person, but
when you say her, I think like she's been good in action movies. There's just something about her in this universe. It's not doing it for me.
You got anybody else, Troy? I like your ideas. I'm not a Scarlett Johansson fan. I can't. You can cut. You can always cut, but she's not a star to me.
She doesn't strike me as a hacker.
Well, she has one look. She has a hacker look, I guess, because she only has one look. So if hackers look like that, then she's got that.
I mean, she's a program, so I guess she can do whatever. We can go ScarJo. She's good in Lucy. She's great as Black Widow. She can do action movies.
My backup was Alicia Vikander.
Lara Croft.
I like that better. I do like that. Like I like her. I would.
I think I would lean ScarJo.
I'll let you guys hash this out because I'll never.
Well, he already used his cut. So
yeah.
No, but
I can still weigh in.
Yeah, he can weigh in. I'm not. Yeah, I'll tell you who my choice was.
90 wet, maybe. But
my choice is going to seem a little crazy. But
well, what's yours, and then I can cut you.
Kristen Dunst was mine, and hear me out.
Oh,
no, hear me out. I've never been impressed with her, but then she did Fargo season 2, and I'm like, this woman can act. She's just been making some bad choices for a while. I freaking loved her in that, but I do see where you're going. So make your pick. You boys decide. Fight it out. Who do you want?
I mean, yes, she can act, but I mean, it's like you just look at the Bring It On and the Spider-Man and Elizabethtown, and she's just the perky, happy girl. And it's like, you can't have perky, happy here.
Oh, you got to go watch Fargo. You got to. All right. So who are you guys deciding on? You going with ScarJo?
No, I'm going to go with Alicia Vikander.
Switch it up.
All right.
We can go Alicia.
I can go sign that one.
I don't have enough experience with Alicia Vikander. I really have only seen her in Jason Bourne.
Oh, Ex Machina? You never saw that?
Oh, I did see Ex Machina. Yeah, I guess I wasn't blown away, I guess.
Well, that's a mistake. She's phenomenal.
She's going to be the program, so she is the computer. What better person to do it than a robot?
All right.
Hey, that's why ScarJo played a robot twice. That's why I was kind of headed in that direction. But
she looks like a robot.
Yeah, we can do. I hope she's a good Lara Croft.
She'll be great at both.
Yeah, if she kicks butt in Lara Croft, then she's definitely the right person for this.
Can we have a Morpheus cameo? Can we just
a random, like Laurence Fishburne walks across the screen? Hey, what's up?
He's just sitting down in a chair, twirling around a case of pills or something.
He's the old guy in Zion that basically breaks the news. Like, you're not going to do this. You're going to lose.
Even that would be cool.
He'd be the one that decide learns that the water's going bad, the air's going bad. He's the one that lets people. Yeah, I could see that. There you
He's
go.
the new oracle or whatever.
Right, some kind of like religious, almost religious hierarchy character
You could
within that.
Jesus him up too. Why not? All right, so nostalgic moments. So these are any nods to the original film that our remake needs to have.
Oh, don't we need the villain? Don't we need the villain?
That's not one of the. We only recast 2 parts, but if you've got somebody, throw them out there.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Ooh,
Well,
yeah,
you can't go wrong with that. So sold.
yeah. That's. I'm sold.
Done. That's better than the other 2. So yeah,
Seeing him do all like kung fu would be cool.
yeah.
It
see
would.
Stephen Amell going up against Cumberbatch. There we go.
I like that. I'm sure Alicia Vikander's great.
She is. I know Stephen
I think
Amell's
she's-
great, so good for him. He'll make it work.
He's great. Can I ask you a quick question before we get to nostalgic factors?
Sure.
Yeah, is the Matrix aged up with us? Is it in 2017 or is it still a late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic?
Well,
How can it age up with us if is no aging?
right. It's whatever you want it to be.
Because the
The actual
in the
year
first
is
Matrix,
like
I think-
2200 or something, right? 2100 and something, right?
2199, closer to. I was just wondering because they refer to it as the height of the human civilization, which is why the Matrix was modeled there in the first movie. So I don't know if you guys wanted to stick to that. I want to stick to that. I just didn't know.
No, I'm fine with it. Doesn't matter to me.
Great.
I mean,
I
maybe
think-
we could like fast forward to 10 years at least, so it's not like flip phones.
I think that'd be so cool, a little like the slide out phone. It would keep it visually unique in current cinema.
What do you mean? I got to type in T9 in order to get myself out of this?
Yep. That sounds right. And you can get somebody's number if you star 69 them.
Right. Well, if it's like in 2017, because then like you're not gonna be in a landlines to jack out. You're gonna have to like go to a Wi-Fi hotspot or something.
That's a good point. I like that. Let's just keep it. That's kind of a cool trope. There's your nostalgic moment right there. Boom.
Jacking out
Mm-hmm.
via landline. Yeah. All right.
I want whoa. I want someone at some
I knew
point
this
to
was gonna
say
come up.
whoa. It's very
I
important.
want
2
somebody
times I
to
did on
say-
a podcast weren't enough for you.
I need it in a movie. I need Stephen Amell to look at the camera and go, whoa.
Whoa.
I want someone to say I know kung fu.
Yes. Very important.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
I like how we didn't focus on he's got to learn kung fu and all that other crap. It's more about we're solving the problem. Like it's a more thriller than just a straight up action movie.
We already saw
Right.
that movie.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about our ideas is that, or at least me and you, Aaron, was the idea that the humans strike first in the ceasefire.
Because we
Is it
know
just-
that we would.
It just really plays into the themes of
We totally
humans
would.
destroying their own world that runs the course through the Matrix.
That sounds right. Like, hey, look, we already gave you guys a truce. We were winning. And we're like, we'll give you guys a truce. And then you blew that, you jackasses. I want a
Sounds
bending
right.
spoon, by the way. I do want a bending spoon at some point. Just even if it's like randomly in the background, maybe Morpheus is holding it as he's making a speech. The spoon just goes back and forth, something like that.
There you go.
Booyah. All right. Well, I think we got a movie. Is there anything else you guys want to add to it before we head on to the final clip of the original Matrix?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Well,
Perfect.
here's a clip, your last clip from the original Matrix.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
Okay, that is it. Now we're on to our final pitch. That is where we have a remake trailer, a parody trailer, provided to you courtesy of Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com. So this is Wayne telling you, or is he telling you? Which reality is it? I don't know. But here is our parody trailer of The Matrix.
For years, peace has existed between man and machine. Neo's final truce has held. But will man ever truly be free if the machines continue to exist? Perseus is a hacker with a plan. Upload a virus to the Matrix and bring the whole system down. After years of systemic planetary abuse, though, Perseus learns the brutal truth. This system is all that is keeping humanity alive. A vile agent named Thanatos has emerged as the code quickly erodes, an existential threat to humanity of Perseus's own design. Desperate to right his wrong, he teams up with Crisis, an excommunicated program willing to save mankind from damnation in exchange for asylum in the real world. Working together, what will happen when Crisis ultimately learns that the key to the destruction of humanity has been by her side the entire time? Find out in 2019 when the Wachowskis return to the franchise they began 2 decades ago. The stage is set, the code is written, it's time to enter the Matrix.
Great job, Wayne, as always.
Yeah.
Woo!
I feel like I say it every time I'm here, but man, we make some good movies.
We do. Why aren't they getting made? Why aren't they being made?
I think the Wachowskis might call.
I hope they do.
I stuck up for them more than anybody ever has.
And I want the people behind their Spider-Man remake to call, because we didn't have a Stark tech suit in our in our movie.
God. So I don't even want to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, did you see that? They're like, oh, it's got all this Stark tech. And I'm like, why do you need Stark tech? He's Spider-Man. He's
not my Spider-Man, man.
Funny. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this show up. But Troy, where can people find you? What do you talk about all over the place?
You can hear us talking about The Blacklist over at theblacklistexposed.com. Wrapping up its 4th season. Be sure to check that out. Plus some really cool interviews coming. Also, we're getting ready for football season. That's right. The draft has happened. Mini camps are starting. So if you are a fan of the Green Bay Packers, the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers, check us out at thepackersfanpodcast.com.
All right. Zach, where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet. You can find me at welovetogame.com. You get your hot video game news there. Podcast coming at you soon. That's where I'm at.
Sweet. Is the website up and going?
By the time of this recording, yes.
You said that the last 3 recordings.
This is definitive. I hit financial snags. It's all good now.
Okay. All right. Well, look for that. What is it again?
welovetogame.com.
Sweet. All right. Well, you can find me here, Remake This Movie Right. My name is Aaron Peterson. I'm also one of the hosts of The Hollywood Outsider and The Blacklist Exposed and Beyond Westworld. I think that's it, and I hope that's it, because I need a vacation. That's going to do it for this episode, but you can find Wayne Henderson once again, mediavoiceovers.com. You can go email us at remakethismovieright@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at remakeRight. We can find our Facebook group on Facebook called Remake This Movie Right. Please share the show on your social media outlets, whatever it is, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, whatever you do. If you like the podcast, please just share it out there and tell your friends, because that's how people find podcasts now. It's really hard to break out. You guys have been doing a great job letting people know about it. We really do appreciate it. And reviews on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, sorry. If you listen via Apple Podcasts, if you could leave a review, that does help people find the podcast, because that's how they realize that, hey, this thing's not so bad. Go check it out. So please do that. That really does help the podcast, and we do appreciate it. As far as this one goes, though, the credits have rolled on this remake, but be sure to come back for our next one. Remember that every film you love will get a reboot someday, and only you can remake that movie right. Which pill would you guys take, honestly?
Red.
Red?
Red.
Everyone should always have all of the information at all times.
What about steak? I mean, I really like steak.
I wouldn't have a problem having my brain lie to me and tell me the steak is delicious.
It's better than that Tasty Oats or whatever the hell that was. Oh, I want that
Tastes
life.
like chicken.
It's a bad life.
It's got everything the body needs.
Does the body good?
Ugh.